To understand what might happen to our thoughts after death, we first need to think about where our thoughts come from. Our minds are intricately connected to our brains. Our thoughts, memories, and emotions arise from complex neural activity. When we die, our body ceases to function, but does that mean our thoughts and consciousness simply vanish too? Let's begin with the scientific perspective. Science has yet to fully explain consciousness, which is the awareness of our thoughts and existence. We know that the brain is responsible for our thoughts, but when someone dies, brain activity stops. So, what happens to consciousness? Does it just cease to exist? When someone dies, the brain's electrical activity comes to a halt. This means that the conscious thoughts and memories we experience are, in theory, tied to the brain's processes. From a scientific standpoint, when the brain stops working, so does the mind. The idea is that our thoughts are no longer possible without the physical structure that supports them. But, of course, not everyone agrees with the scientific view. Many philosophers and thinkers throughout history have proposed that consciousness could be something more than just the brain's activity. Some argue that our thoughts, memories, and consciousness could exist beyond the body, maybe in some form of an afterlife or even as part of a universal consciousness. Thinkers like Plato and Descartes believed in the idea of a soul, which could continue after death. According to these views, when we die, our conscious experience may not end. Instead, it could transition into another realm, either spiritual or metaphysical. One of the most fascinating areas where people report unusual experiences is in near-death situations. People who have had near-death experiences, or NDEs, often describe vivid experiences, such as floating above their bodies, moving through tunnels of light, or feeling a sense of peace. Many of these individuals report a sense of clarity, feeling like they've gained new insights into their lives. Some say they experienced a life review, where they relived key moments and emotions. This leads some to believe that our thoughts, emotions, and even our sense of self might not completely vanish after death, but instead continue in some form, whether it's a spiritual transition or a deeper understanding of the universe. For example, in Christianity, there is the belief that the soul lives on and that we may experience eternal life in heaven or hell, based on how we lived our lives. In Hinduism, there's the concept of reincarnation, where the soul is reborn into a new body, carrying its thoughts, deeds, and experiences from past lives. Similarly, in Buddhism, the cycle of samsara continues, with thoughts and consciousness playing a role in the next existence. These spiritual beliefs often propose that the thoughts we have in life don't just end when our physical bodies die. They may be carried on in some way, either through our soul, karma, or spiritual journey. So, what does this all mean for us, here and now? Whether you lean towards the scientific perspective, a philosophical interpretation, or a spiritual belief, one thing is clear: our thoughts are incredibly powerful. They shape the way we experience the world and influence our actions. If there's a possibility that our thoughts might continue beyond this life, it might encourage us to be more mindful of what we think, how we treat others, and what legacy we leave behind.